Everybody. Welcome to the Evidence and Reasons for the Christian Faith video channel. I'm joined by Jackson Rowe and Dustin. Dustin is trying to get his audio working, and I invited him to communicate through the chat if he has questions. And I'm sorry about the connection. Restream's is a different system than StreamYard, and people have had connection problems in the past. Tonight's topic is advertised as solar system evolution, or lack thereof. The book, well, let me just give us the standard announcement here. This channel is organized to explore evidences and reasons for the Christian faith. I'm a young Earth, young cosmos creationist. I used to believe in evolution, and I became a Christian, then still believed in evolution, then became an Old Earth Creationist for a very long time in my life. And then as I matriculated through school, I slowly became a young Earth Creationist as I examined the physical evidence and the problems with both evolutionary theory as far as chemical evolution, what we call abiogenesis, biological evolution, which is what we call the evolutionary theory, and then explored other things like solar system evolution, cosmological evolution, etc. And the topic for tonight was solar system evolution. So we'll cover that for 5-10 minutes, and then Jackson and Dustin have joined to just interact and have questions for me. So welcome to anyone who came from the Logical, Plausible, Probables after show. And so this channel does tend to cater to graduate students in science who are also Christians, and also professional researchers, both at secular and religious institutions, researchers in science. I worked for 7 years as a paid associate researcher for world famous geneticist John C. Sanford, and I still work with him. But I'm kind of starting my own initiative. So Dustin Buck is able to communicate. You wrote me a message. A wet dog smells gross. Okay, I read you there, brother. So let me read from this book here. Just to let you know, this is not a creationist book, and I highly recommend it. It's unfortunately about 30 years old, but the problems have not gone away. They've actually gotten worse. But let me read what he had to say in the prologue. And he's a member of the National Academy of Sciences. That means he's an elite scientist. So he writes, in a work of this scope, it is impossible to be expert in the many diverse fields that I cannot resist straying into. My excuse for wandering into regions as remote from my specialty as cosmology, where a mere student of rocks has little business, is that science has become dangerously fragmented. This is understandable. The difficulties of becoming expert even in some tiny corner of science are well known. We all tend to get into our own particular foxholes, secure in our understanding of alkenes, atomic particles, ants, andesites, or asteroids. This leaves the way open for salesmen of simplistic solutions that purport to explain everything in terms that a young child could follow. Of these, creationism in its various incarnations represents the most serious threat. The whole endeavor of science, and ultimately the very survival of our civilized society that has arisen from the study of the natural world in the past 4 centuries, is at risk. One writer has commented that though science is stronger today than when Galileo knelt before the Inquisition, it remains a minority habit of mind, and its future is very much in doubt. Blind belief rules the millennial universe, dark as space itself. So and I'll just skip. He said, there followed a retreat from objective truth into medieval modes of thought as the Dark Ages began. The stage was set by St. Augustine, 354 to 430 AD, who ordained that as God had created everything, it is not necessary to probe into the nature of things, as the Greeks had done. This attitude still survives. So this is definitely written by, it appears to me, I mean, definitely an anti-creationist, but probably an anti-theist on top of that. And he is correct to say there is a sentiment among some Christian circles today that is very anti-science, anti-knowledge, anti-intellectualism. I endured that going through, being a part of the church and going through a scientific discipline, getting 5 degrees. But that didn't, thankfully, it's the study of science that got me to, I mean, at least for me personally, it got me to believe, to reassure me that there's a God and that life was created by a miracle. And I also now believe the solar system is created by a miracle. And there are just all these funny anomalies here. And I'll just read one of them. Let's see if I could. Here's one. And then I'll take your questions and comments, Jackson, and also for you, Dustin. So this is from page 62. Once the sun begins to shine, the gas left over in the nebula is soon driven away. Although we see that dusty disks of ice and rock persist for periods of a few million years around violently behaving young stars, such as T Tauri, the gas itself may have been lost on a much shorter lifetime, perhaps as brief as 1 million years. The time between the formation of the solar nebula as a rotating disk of dust and gas and the disappearance of the gas is very short. Thus, the gas giants Jupiter and Saturn have to form rather quickly before the gas has been driven away. As will become apparent, some fine timing is needed to form Jupiter at all. And one other thing, the problem of outward transfer of angular momentum has been a classic dilemma for models attempting to explain the origin of the solar system. Binary systems of low-mass stars have angular momenta about 10 to the third times that of the solar system and 10 to the 5 times that of the sun. There's fairly convinced, okay, and I'll just skip that. So the sun has 99.9% of the mass of the solar system that rotates very slowly in about 25 days at the equator. It contains only about 2% of the angular momentum, most of the rest residing in Jupiter. This is an ancient paradox, difficult to accomplish with a symmetrical disk. It is the rock on which most theories for formation of the solar system have foundered. This problem caused the eclipse of the Laplacian models and led to the rise of tidal theories, which in turn succumbed. That is, they also faltered. It was long ago pointed out that the angular momentum of the passing star in such tidal hypotheses was insufficient to account for that of the solar system. This was the journey for me, because this is basic mechanics. And I was just looking around questions as why do stars rotate? Why do they have disks? They have disks because of angular momentum, but where did the angular momentum come from? So angular momentum is if you spin a, you can kind of see it when a quarterback throws the ball, if it wobbles, it's not because it's spinning. So he tries to induce spin, it creates, the more spin you have on an object, it has more angular momentum, roughly speaking. So, or like when you're spinning a top, you're adding angular momentum. So where does this momentum for spin come from in the first place? So if you have a gas cloud that's supposedly becoming a star and it's collapsing, why does it have to rotate? And I've been Googling around, and they kind of hand wave where this angular momentum comes from. And the profile of all the rotation in the solar system is better explained by a special creation event. So that's my brief 10-minute introduction to this. I may do a series on this, but since there were so many people on the discussion at Logical Plausible Probables channel, and people were wanting to ask me questions, I said, I'm starting a stream anyway, and so we can just have a discussion now. So Dustin, I hope you're able to get your mic working. If you can report on that periodically, if you're successful in connecting your mic, that'd be great. But Jackson, since yours is working, feel free to ask or
Yeah.
just
comment about planets, I guess. Well, how many solar systems do we know about now? Like in the thousands. I think there are 5,000 exoplanets we know about now, and like 4,000 more candidates from the TESS telescope.
Mm-hmm.
And some of their formations are confounding. I've read about how they could have formed in their current position, at least. But I've heard hypotheses like some of the gas giants have migrated in or out, depending on certain things. But that's not really what you were talking about. You're kind of touching on that on the other stream. But
can you repeat your question? I was trying to respond to Dustin.
It wasn't really a question. It was kind of a statement.
You can't hear us, so.
Oh, you can't hear us? He's basically not there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, brother.
Oh, it's all right. Yeah.
You might have to go back to Logical Plausible. So it's just you and me.
Well.
So
right.
you're saying, I totally did not hear your last
That's
minute.
All right.
You're saying, if you could repeat it, that'd be great.
We know about like 5,000 exoplanets now, right? Are you up to date with the exoplanet count?
No. I believe they exist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of their formations are hard to explain, but some of them seem pretty intuitive. Like the rocky planets tend to be toward the front of the star, toward the nearest to the star, and the gas giants tend to be further away. And I think one of the reasons for that is partially due to what you were talking about, the radiation kind of getting the dust further out into the solar system or solar systems. But I don't know too much about that aspect of it. It's been a while since I've read some of this stuff. I was really into it in high school. They sent me this exoplanet community report thing. So it's pretty cool. I knew about like 100 of them back then. Now I know about 5,000. Also, accretion disks. There's a picture of an accretion disk on the page here. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So I know you don't view planetary formation.
So the first problem is, why does the disk form? I mean, if you think about it, gravity would attract everything into a ball, not a disk.
Yeah.
So the disk happens if it's rotating. The rotating, it's just like the equator. If it's rotating, for lack of a better word, I think it's like, hang on, Dustin's asking me. I can't hear you. Sorry, I had to respond. Dustin asked, can you hear me? And I said, I can't hear you. Sorry, Jackson and I can hear each other. So it's like centrifugal force. You know, if it's rotating, it pushes things out. That's the explanation. But then we get the more basic question is, why is it rotating in the first place?
Yeah, that's a
what
good question.
what causes that rotation? And
Maybe as it heats up somehow, that causes it to rotate. Your guess is as good as mine.
and I think, like I said, there's just like this painful silence that I hear in the cosmological community. Where do you get the initial angular momentum? So, and I was thinking about that. I said, yeah, I can't. If you have all these particles and you're assuming the gravity's pulling them together, it's like, okay, I could get that it becomes a sphere, but why a rotating disk? That just seems in the absence of answers is just very telling. But then this, I read the passage in the book about like and the more that I read it, the angular momentum problem in the solar system is big. People have proposed solutions, but then they start to fall apart. And there are more and more anomalies there. So that rather than read the whole book on air, I'm trying to summarize it, and because this is getting into the physics of this is not like trivial, and I have to try to be careful that I'm getting the physics right. Okay, so Dustin is trying to keep, he's trying to connect. Let me test your audio there. I'm going to give you a link. See if you can at least hear us, Dustin. I'm going to give you a different link here, Dustin. Let me give you a link. So let me give you a link. I'm going to, let me prepare something. Try this link to here. That was for Dustin, so I hope he's able to at least hear us. Okay, so Janet's here, and we don't have a lot of people watching, which is okay because I didn't want to just steal people from LPP's channel. He's in the middle of a fundraiser. So that's about all where I'm at as far, because it's been about 20 years since I've really read the book, but I remember my jaw was just dropping almost at every turn, because it'll look reasonable for a while, and then you'll just come across these paragraphs and just like, yeah, that's so obviously a problem, and you're just, so the thing is, they'll spend all this time declaring a theory, and they'll have that one paragraph that is just like a blatant problem. It's like, well, I think you need to give that one way more attention because it may indicate your model is wrong. But that's kind of what motivated me to say, okay, once I began to suppose that life was a miracle, I could say, well, what else could be a miracle? And I began to look at the origin of the solar system, and I said, everything I know about physics, which is limited, but enough, I knew enough that everything I knew said this special creation is a better explanation. And then that only got reinforced because I would read books like this, and I'd hear my professors saying this is a tough problem. And like I had a professor in supplemental quantum mechanics, and he was saying in supplementary quantum mechanics, and he was saying the 5 reasons galaxies can't exist. He said it's a real big problem, and I said, yeah, mechanically speaking, they're problems. So Dustin here is just saying he can't hear.
He says in the comments he can hear.
Oh, he said, oh, he can hear. Okay, so you can just type, I'm sorry, you can hear you can hear the YouTube link. You're having a problem with the actual Restream link to join. So Restream does not agree. It doesn't connect as well as StreamYard. That's the problem, but it's free. I have your email there, Dustin. Let me see. We can do this on StreamYard. Do you want to try this? Let me see. I have StreamYard hours. Are you game to restart the stream and Jackson, would you be willing to try StreamYard?
Yeah, I'll do it again. Yeah.
Okay. So Janet and everyone listening, we're going to try to restart the stream under StreamYard. I'm down. What does that mean? You're in? You want to try? Dustin, is that a yes? Does I'm down mean yes?
It means yes.
Okay.
And
so
it's better than this with the Ukrainian flag up here. See what I'm talking about?
Is that a Ukrainian flag?
Yeah.
Wow.
They went all out.
Yeah, that means they're trying to honor the Ukrainians. I mean, I know you're not a Christian, Jackson, but could I just say a quick prayer for what's going on?
Yeah.
Dear Lord, we really need you now. This could get so bad. And Lord, I'm just afraid those Russian submarines, they'll start cutting cables and just attack our banking system. Lord, they don't even need a nuclear war to just make life miserable for everyone. And we ask for peace, Lord. And we leave these problems in your hands. And please help us to connect through StreamYard. In Jesus' name, amen. So let me get the StreamYard. Why don't you talk a little bit? I'm going to get the StreamYard going. I'm going to put a link in the, let me see.
In the private chat.
Yeah. Okay. Dustin, are you still in the private chat?
Sal, have you read this book, Voyager?
No, I haven't. There's so many books I haven't.
It's really good. It's about the Voyager 1 and 2 probes.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna take a risk here since I recognize Dustin. Dustin, I tried to type in the private chat. Are you still also in the Restream? Oh, he's not. Ooh. So let me kick. Okay. I'll kick that one off. All right. Just let me get the Restream, the StreamYard going, and then we'll just transfer there. It'll take me just a little bit. So go ahead and just speak your mind. It'll take me a few minutes to get this going.
Okay, well, I have some weird geopolitical views that are kind of contrary. That are kind of contrary to yours, I think. That doesn't mean we can't be friends, though.
Okay. But, speak your mind, brother.
You probably don't want to hear it, but yeah, I'm kind of not so much on Ukraine's side. I'm not on Russia's side really either that much, but I'm. It's hard to explain.
Well, I think they're bad actors all around, and I think they're bad actors in the United States too. So okay,
yeah.
So, but my whole point is these problems are bigger than me.
Yeah.
And we are. When I heard the news reports today, I said this is because our economies are so deeply integrated, it
Mhm.
doesn't take a lot of a hiccup to just
Yeah,
blow
they
us
cut that
apart.
cable, it's over.
Yeah.
Or even some other cyber attack, some other way.
Well, the one that is most concerning, and they put it on the table tonight on the news, a lot of our banking transactions go through a cable internet that's
Mhm.
laid across the sea because it's not over the air wires because you can get a lot of throughput. And there have been these Russian submarines just poking around,
Yeah,
identifying the location. It wouldn't take them anything to cut that cable. And this is like a nerve, someone who's otherwise healthy, you break their spinal cord, they're just as good as dead.
yeah.
Or you cut their nerves. And
Mhm.
and I'm just like, yeah, this is exactly what could happen. You don't need a nuclear war. You don't even need a big army to shut down civilization. This could be a disaster of unimaginable proportions.
Yeah,
Um,
it could be.
Now, I mean, we could recover from it, and I hope they have enough
It could take a while.
infrastructure. But this could be a nightmare. So I'm setting this up right now. I just got into it. So just go ahead and just share your views while I get this going here.
Okay, well, I kind of track weapons losses on both sides. That's what I've been doing. I've been doing it in Syria for 8 years now. I have a Twitter page, but it's a pseudonym, so I'm not going to tell the public what it is. So, yeah, Russia's lost probably about a couple hundred armored vehicles already it's been 6 days now of the war. They've lost like 5 or 6 T-90s, which are basically their best tank, like 10 T-80s, maybe 100 T-72s. And who knows how many BMPs and BTRs and all those weird armored vehicles. But they're steadily gaining ground. They're right outside Kiev, which the media pronounces Kyiv all of a sudden, I've noticed. I don't know why they do that. They used to pronounce it Kiev. I still say Kiev. But anyway, today, a 40-mile long Russian column headed for the capital, and they should be setting up there now.
All right, I got
Outside.
the Restream link, the StreamYard link. I'm going to shut
Okay.
this stream down,
Okay.
and we're going to reopen, and maybe we can get Dustin on.
Okay.
All right, see
All
you
right.
there.
All right. I'll see you.